Hi, this is an overview of the most common forks that are fitted to modern mountain bikes. I've been fortunate to test quite a few bikes by now, but I struggle with one thing, and that is to get my head around all of these different suspension options. One fork can have different internal components, making them very different from each other. On top of that, the same fork but from different model years can also be very different. So I really made this video for myself, so I know what to expect the next time I test a bike with a fork that I don't recognize. If you work in the industry or have been around the mountain bike scene for very long, you probably already know all of this. And maybe you can contribute and correct my errors in the comments down below. I will focus on the two major brands, that's Fox and Rockshox. I'm not biased towards any of the brand. I simply don't have any preferences. Starting with the different categories of forks, it's basically the stanchion width and the amount of travel that puts a fork in the cross-country or trail or enduro categories. The stanchion width is the measurement in millimeters, and the wider the stanchion, the less flex the fork has. The longer travel the fork has also affects the flex, so forks often tend to grow in both stanchion width and travel together. Based on stanchion width, I would put forks in these categories: 32 mm cross-country, 34 to 35 mm trail, 35 to 38 mm enduro. Fox makes this easy for us, at least to begin with, because they have their stanchion width in the name, so it's like Fox 34, 36, etc. Rockshox made up funny names on their forks just to confuse us a little bit. To do a straight comparison between the Fox and Rockshox forks is not that easy. Because for instance the Rockshox SID comes both in a 32 and a 35 mm version. Confused? We only just started. But hang on, we'll get there in the end. Let's start with Fox. The Fox 32 and 34 also come in a lightweight step-cast version. The lower legs are lighter, and these forks are aimed at lightweight cross-country and lightweight trail. There are also e-bike specific forks called Fox 34, 36 and 38, which have heavier but stiffer lower legs to accommodate for that extra weight. If you hear the name Evil anywhere, it's the name of the air spring, which in Rockshox marketing language is called Debonair. Fox adds a name after the number, largely to differentiate what's inside the fork. At the lowest level, there's a Rythm, which has got a fit grip damper and a simpler air spring. It has got heavier and less costly lower legs too. It's only sold as OEM and cannot be available in the aftermarket. The Performance is the entry-level fork that is available to the aftermarket. It too has got fit grip dampers, but with lighter lower legs, the same as with the higher-end forks. Then there is the Performance Elite, which has got a Fit 4 or a Fit Grip 2 damper. These dampers are more luxurious with more adjustment possibilities. At the very top end, there is the Fox Factory series, which is similar to the Performance Elite, but has got the distinctive golden Kashima coating on the stanchions, which keeps the oil in microscopic pores, making the travel much smoother. So to generalize, the Fox 32 is aimed at cross-country, the 34 is trail, the 36 and 38 are enduro forks. The 38 is a fairly new fork, which replaces the 36 in the longer travel sizes. Rockshox has got a similar but a much more diverse lineup. It is difficult to compare the Rockshox with the Fox based on the stanchion width, for instance. There are other factors to consider, such as travel and dampers, but for the sake of argument, here are the most common Rockshox equivalent forks. The Rockshox SID is aimed for cross-country and comes in two very different flavors, the SID SL and the SID. The SID SL is a 100 mm travel race fork with a Debonair air spring. It's either available with the Charger RL damper, the Charger 2 RL damper, or with the brand new Race Day damper, which is lighter and has got a solid lockout. The SID version is actually pretty different, with a 35 mm stanchion and 120 mm of travel. That fork too comes as a select version and an ultimate version. I'm certain of that Rockshox designed this fork in spite only to confuse us. As a side note, the SID and other Rockshox forks come in very many different special versions too, like a carbon version and the brain internals and whatnot. but the ones that I list here are the most common ones. The Revelation and the Pike also have got 35mm stanchions, but they have longer travel. Both forks have got debonair air springs, but the more affordable Revelation has got the motion control damper or the self-bleeding Charger RC damper, both with limited adjustment possibilities. The Pike is a very common fork that has been around for many years and in many different shapes and sizes. It's got an improved version of the debonair air spring and also comes with better internal components and more adjustment possibilities than the Revelation. Pike RC is only OEM, then there is the Pike RCT3, there is the Pike RCT3 dual position air, which can adjust the travel by 30mm. And finally, the Pike Ultimate with SKF seals and the new Charger 2.1 damper, which is the best damper you can get from Rockshox. By now you probably get that the Ultimate version is Rockshox's top-end version of forks, much like the Factory is the top-end version of Fox forks. The Yari and the Lyric are very much like the Revelation and Pike, but only with stiffer and heavier lower legs, and they also come in longer travel. The Yari is the more affordable fork with either the motion control damper or the self-bleeding Charger RC damper. The Lyric is one of my favorite trail and enduro forks, and it basically comes in the same flavors as the Pike. Lyric RC, Lyric RCT3, Lyric RCT3 dual position air, Lyric RC2 and Lyric Ultimate. Last on this list is the newly introduced Rockshox SID, a beefier fork with 38mm stanchions as the Fox 38. The top model, SID Ultimate, has got SKF seals, the Charger 2.1 internals and the debonair air spring with some tweaks to make it more downhill friendly. There are of course a few lesser models of the SID too. In the Rockshox lineup there's a bunch of other forks as well, but I rarely see them when I test bikes, so I'll leave them out of this list. Rockshox RS1, the 35, the Reba, the Bluto, the Judy, Sector, Rockshox 30 and the Boxer. There are of course a few other brands out there. Worth mentioning is the Suntour, the Manitou and the Marzocchi, but that will have to be another video to cover those forks. So I hope this little video helps you too when you're out shopping for bikes. See you in the next video.